Hey guys, Dennis here with Revog Games. I'm joined by.
Joshua Weyers, all the way in South Africa, where
Yes.
it's
Is it cold?
freezing, by the
Yeah,
way.
because I
It's
see you're wearing that
freezing.
jacket. I mean, the weather's not
Yeah.
that great here either, even though it's like June 14th and it's supposed to be summer. It's like totally gloomy. It's been gloomy
Isn't it
for.
fire season soon for you guys?
I don't. It can't be fire season like this. It's been gloomy and rainy for the last like 6 months. So I don't know what's going on here in
In
LA.
June?
Dude,
In
it hasn't been
June?
raining in June, but it's been like super gloomy. But anyways,
That's crazy.
we have a
Yeah.
lot.
Anyways,
We
yeah,
have a lot to talk about today. I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot of news. We're gonna cover all these showcases. There's the summer Game Fest showcase. There was the main one we're gonna talk about is the Xbox Game Showcase and all that stuff with Starfield. We have the Ubisoft showcase. There was a Capcom showcase, but there was like nothing there.
Yeah.
So we'll briefly run through that. But anyways, there's like so many games. We can't get through everything, but
It's
we
going to be a
are.
great episode, though. That's
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. It's going to be a
yeah.
really good episode.
Yeah, so let's talk about the big heavy hitters. So let's start off with Xbox because this is the one that everyone's waiting for. We talked about Sony's showcase last time, which was like, I think a lot of people were a little disappointed with it because other than Spider-Man 2, I think like everything else was kind of, people were like, okay, cool. They were looking for like bigger title announcements, I
Yeah.
guess, or bigger things to show, and there wasn't that much. And I know Sony was focusing a lot on these new live service games that they specifically bought Bungie for. I don't think Bungie's doing all of them, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
Sony's kind of focused on that. And Xbox is just trying to right the ship, right? Because we talked about it
Yeah.
before. Redfall was kind of a disaster. We talked about with this.
I will say it once again. I do hope they fix that game because even like I said, I didn't have any like major glitches. It was
Uh,
just the AI was so trash for me, and if they can fix that, I'll come back to it for sure.
oh.
But oh yeah, going back to as well, yeah, the Sony showcase. I think it was mainly just Final Fantasy and Spider Man.
Yeah. So it was like it was an okay showcase, but some people left disappointed. Xbox really needed to knock it out of the park because they are, one, they're behind in this console generation, and then they're also just bad PR. You got the Activision Blizzard thing doesn't look like it's going to go through. I mean, they still have the appeals process, but the FTC I think is going to sue to block it. There's just still a lot of roadblocks. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess the chances are still there of it going through, but it's not like high. And then also with the Redfall disaster being like supposedly this AAA game that was coming out, for Game Pass, it's supposed to be kind of like this two pronged attack, right? It was going to be Redfall now, and it was going to tide us over until September for Starfield. And since Redfall, hit like,
I bombed so bad, man.
yeah, that it's just all eyes are on Xbox. And I do think overall, before we get into the showcase, I think Xbox did a pretty good job. I wouldn't say it was like an amazing showcase, but I would say it was a pretty good one. And they needed it. They needed it more than Sony did. What do you think?
Oh, but I think so by far. The Xbox showcase was like Microsoft has definitely got a much better year ahead of them compared to Sony, I think, and also the next year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I was much more impressed by the Xbox showcase. I did like the Sony showcase,
Mm-hmm.
like don't get me wrong, but yeah, there was like definitely a lack of games, or like bigger games, you know what I mean? At least.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
let's
I
just start
was
off with
yeah.
that. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, I was gonna say. Let's start off with the showcase. We're gonna hit the big stuff. The showcase started off with Fable. They finally
Oh
showed.
yeah,
They had shown that like teaser, like a little bit of teaser footage. I think maybe a
like a
year.
while
Yeah,
ago,
it was
like
like
a
a
year
year or
ago.
year and a
Yeah.
half ago. I can't remember, but that was it. This time they showed much more. It was a full like 2 minutes of. I mean, it was kind of in-game cinematics. I know, like a lot of people, with this whole kind of semantics between CG pre-rendered cinematics
There was a
versus
bit of
in-game.
gameplay
There
towards the end,
was,
I think.
there
Yeah, there
was.
was some gameplay towards the end. And it is important to remember that that was all running so smooth on the Xbox Series X, which is what they showed it off on.
Hmm.
So, like I was just impressed by how smooth it was running on the console. They optimized the crap out of it. And then I'm a huge Richard Iowade fan.
Hmm.
I'm also a huge Fable fan. I regularly replay the first Fable game,
Hmm.
and I would play Fable 2 and 3, but for some reason EA stopped supporting the games. So like you can own the game, but you can't play it because you can't reach the online services. It's weird.
Mm.
I think you can still play it on Xbox 360 on the console. Point is, I love this series, and it has been years. Like I'm sure it's been a decade or like more. It's been more than a decade since Fable 3. There was something. I think they were working on something called Fable Legends for a
Yeah,
couple
I
years, and then they
remember
completely
that.
scrapped. They completely scrapped that project. I think it was like a Fable multiplayer thing. But yeah, I mean, like, what's not to love in the Fable trailer? I love Fable. I love
Mhm.
Richard Ayoade. I mean, for them to have put him in this trailer, he's obviously going to be in the game. They wouldn't put that much effort into
Yeah.
making like a photorealistic version of him, because wow, it looked just like him. I was so impressed by that. Um, it's also great because like Fable has it's a very like comedic kind of series as well. Like it doesn't take itself seriously. It's very lighthearted,
Hmm.
and it has like a lot of like it's got a lot of British humor to it. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that he's in it. Stoked about that. Did we get a release date on that? I think it's
No,
next year
no,
only.
it didn't. No
Possibly,
release
yeah.
date, but people
No
are saying
release.
earliest 2024. They're saying
Oh yeah, for sure.
there's no way it's coming out this year. Maybe 2024, possibly early
Second
2025.
quarter.
So
Oh,
we'll
I
see.
guess
Well,
I'm
we'll see.
optimistic thinking second quarter next
Yeah,
year.
we
Yeah.
we we have to see because we got to see more gameplay. I'm glad we at
Yeah.
least got to see a little bit. It looks good. Look, I'm not a huge Fable fan like you are, but I did play the first game and I enjoyed it. The art style was much different. I
The
don't know
first
how.
game's the best, by the
Okay.
way. The first game is the by far. The first game is like an actual RPG.
Yeah.
From that point on, I think because Xbox owned the IP, Fable 2 and 3 was more geared towards console.
Mhm.
So it kind of lost a lot of RPG elements. Like you didn't have nearly as many spells and stuff, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The first game was definitely more of an RPG than the other two.
The art
And I
style is
think
definitely
they're going
different.
back to that.
The art style
Yeah,
is a
like
little
they're
different
yeah.
though, because remember the first game
Yeah,
was a little
very
cartoonish.
cartoony. Yeah, they've all been very cartoonish, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was kind of their style. Like I said, it's very like cartoonish. It's like a lighthearted RPG, like a comedic RPG for the
Mhm.
most part. And yeah, it looks like they're rebooting the franchise. They're going back. The thing is, like Fable 1, 2, and 3, it kept going up in like eras, if that makes sense. Like the
Yeah.
Steam era, then the Victorian, or the Victor, like it went through eras, and it looks like they're going back to the fantasy area here, like fantasy era,
Mhm.
which I like. Like as cool as I was, as much as I was enjoying like the Steam era or
Mhm.
whatever, it's like I want to. It's a fantasy game. It's a fantasy RPG, man. Put me in the woods, you know.
Yeah.
I want to see the fairies. I want to see the dragons. Let's go.
So yeah, Playground Games, they're using the engine that they used for Forza, which it looks fantastic. Like I said, different art
Oh
style, but
yeah.
it does look great. Um,
Oh yeah. Game Pass day one. That
Day
was
one,
also
yeah,
great news.
yeah,
Yeah. Game Pass day one.
for sure. That's definitely. So yeah, that looks good and promising, but also we're looking 2024, possibly 2025.
Yeah.
Another big release. This isn't exclusive to Xbox, but they did show it in the Xbox showcase first, which was the Phantom Liberty trailer. I mean, they already had kind of like a teaser trailer before, but there's like the first kind of full on trailer. It's coming. They do have a date. It's September 26th. It showed off
You
a
can
lot.
pre-order it now.
Yeah, you
You can
have.
you can pre-order right now.
They showed off Idris Elba's character, and when I was watching, I think Skill Up's like first impressions, because he actually got to play the game, he did say
Oh
that
yeah.
Keanu Reeves is actually much more in it more than he thought he was gonna. He thought he was gonna be just like this passing, in the beginning and end or something. But he said he felt like he's actually integrated into the story, much like how he was in the main game.
And the, oh sweet. Okay, that's awesome. I'm always there for more Keanu.
Yeah. And the graphics look great. They said the graphics have been improved since, and the original game is like one of the best looking games that you can, play right now. And they've improved that. And supposedly they've improved a lot of smaller things within the world, just a lot of either quality of life stuff or just like changing around some of the dynamics. What I'm concerned about, and one of the things, like for me, I know I think ended up liking Cyberpunk more than I did, even though I really liked it. For me, it was a very good game, but it wasn't a great game.
Mm.
And one of my complaints was like with the customizations, like there was differences, but there wasn't like like I didn't really feel like I had to have like certain types of guns for certain type of missions or you know what I mean. I would just use the same gun over and over, and it didn't really
they did
matter.
fix. I think they did fix a bit of that later on because I will say like a big issue of that game the first year or so was that it's too easy to get overpowered in that game. Like you can like when you're like still pretty low level, you can like I for the most part just use the like the first katana I found in that game almost the entire game. Like it was a katana I found. Mind you, it was like a secret katana that I found in like the first level. You can only get it once. You can never get it again. But still like I was so OP, you know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, like they did do a bit more balancing, added more knives and some more guns and stuff. It's still fun. I just think well, they did add more cops and stuff too. They just needed to add more difficulty to it.
Yeah,
if you get too overpowered, you got to make it more difficult. You know.
Supposedly they're redoing the AI, not just for this expansion, but also for the main game that you've already played before.
Game, yeah.
So it might be something interesting later on to replay the main game again. Yeah. You know,
because they have been like they did do some work on the AI recently. They did revamp the police.
Yeah.
And the way they chase you down and stuff.
So apparently this like Phantom Liberty takes place in was like Dogtown or whatever the hell it's called, and it's supposed to be like in that kind of I forgot what that area was called. It was kind of like that.
You couldn't really access most of it.
Yeah, the amusement park area. Like near the
or
ocean.
like I thought it was gonna be like close to where those I forget what they were called. It was like the other like hacking group. Like the something boys, I don't know what they were called, but it was like that hacking group that you had to reach out to. And it was like a big area, but you couldn't access most of it. Yeah. So I thought it would be there.
Yeah, I think it is. But anyways, it looks good. I'm looking forward to it. September 26th. That is this year, so that's good.
I'm wondering,
and it's free, right? Is it free? No, this one's paid, right?
No, it's paid. It's paid. Yeah, it's not. I don't know what the price. If I had to guess, it's probably $20.
Oh, I can live with $20.
It's about about $20 out here currently.
Okay.
Like last time I saw it, it was about $20.
Okay.
So I will say though, like the thing that they said in the trailer, like. I feel like I can say this because the game's been out for years, no spoilers, but there's not many happy endings to this game.
No.
So the fact that in the trailer they were like, you might find a way, I'm like, no, he won't. Yeah. no, he won't.
It's all sad.
You can't change the ending
this
of
one
the
looks
game.
sad
It's all
too.
depressing.
This one looks all sad.
It all looks depressing. Yeah, dude, Night City is a depressing fucking place, man.
Yeah.
Even with the secret ending.
Yeah. All right. The next thing that came out that I'm looking forward to is Avowed, which is coming from Obsidian, which basically is their kind of, their Elder Scrolls, right? I mean, Obsidian, they did, Fallout New Vegas. They did Outer Worlds, which it's interesting to note there was no Outer Worlds 2 stuff, but I think that was on purpose. I don't think they want to take any shine away from Starfield. Which we'll talk about in a little bit, but like I think that was the reason why we didn't see any Outer Worlds 2. One, they want to say, okay, this is Avowed, let's focus on this, and then Starfield is doing their thing. What Bethesda's doing with Starfield. Let's not bring another.
And the companies do have mutual respect for each other as well.
I will say,
it's good to see more Avowed because it's been a while since they announced this, and I remember when they announced it, I was so stoked because it's like. You're essentially a battle mage by the looks of things. You're like a hardcore battle mage, you know what I mean? And I've never played a good game where you're a battle mage. Like, I've never played like a game that was actually done well, where it's like mixing magic and combat together. I mean, yes, you can do it in Skyrim and a lot of games like that, but when games specifically go towards that speciality, like I haven't seen them do good. And this looks like it's going to be it's weird. I'm actually not that interested in the world. It just looks like it's going to be fun.
Apparently, it's based on existing property Pillars of Eternity.
Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's where this world is set in. I will say I was a little disappointed in the graphics. I mean, look, I know the graphics aren't the most important thing because, obviously the gameplay, the story, all that other stuff is much more important. But the graphics kind of look like last gen, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it looks like top tier last gen, you know what I mean? Like for me at least, like when I'm looking at the screenshots, when I'm looking through the video again, it's giving me very God of War PS4 vibes, which is not bad, but it is PS4 vibes for sure.
I mean, it's coming out in 2024, so maybe there's time to up the graphics.
I mean, the lighting, some of these screenshots do look sick though. The lighting looks good.
I think they just the
Um,
models and the textures aren't that
did you watch it
detailed.
live? Do you think there was maybe a bit of lag if you watched it live?
No, I watched the
Because
full on because like
yeah,
if you even just take a look at this one picture,
the bear
uh,
doesn't look good.
or just like there's a picture of the your character walking on at the docks,
Oh, I see it. Yeah,
and you see like
yeah.
the guy the
The
soldier to the
NPCs look
right.
Skyrim NPCs. They look like
Yeah,
Oblivion NPCs
yeah,
actually.
yeah. So it's just
Like the guy on
not.
the right looks terrible. The guy on the left looks. They all look very bland. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
then again, I mean, but they could just be really generic NPCs. I'm
I
I'm giving them too much leeway.
I think so. I mean, look, like I said, we're going to talk about Starfield in a few minutes, but I mean, Starfield looks fantastic. I'm talking about graphically.
Oh
You
yeah,
know? Yeah,
yeah. No, it does. It does look gorgeous. You're right.
yeah,
So
um,
yeah, yeah. Even though I still want to play Avowed though, because it looks fun. But you're right. Like the graphics are giving me like old gen vibes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Also very bland. Like the like character design wise,
Hmm.
it's a bit bland.
Yeah. They also announced a new Xbox, but I mean, it's not really a new Xbox. It's just Xbox.
Mm.
It's Xbox Series S, but it's in black, and it comes with 1 TB instead of
Yeah.
512. But it
I think
retails
it's
for
because it's been
$50
selling.
more.
Yeah, but I do know it's been selling. That's probably because the Series S has been selling very well, which is understandable. I think it can do 1440p at
Yes,
30 FPS or 60.
I
I
think
think
it do
30.
60, but it's just you know depends on the
Depends on the
game.
game, yeah.
Yeah,
But it can do 1440p, which like I only have a 1440p monitor. You know what I mean?
me too.
I've only got a 2K monitor. I don't have 4K. I got a 4K TV, but like, I can't play games in 4K. Well, I can, but like not as beautiful as what I can in 2K.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's good. 1 TB is
Mm.
definitely one of my complaints about the Xbox Series
50 bucks
S
more is not too bad.
was
Well, I,
that
I
it
don't
had
know
a
what I
small
don't know
hard
what
drive.
SSD prices are. Yeah, I don't know if I know they had the place where you could plug in an extra like external hard drive, but I don't know if that was on the Series S. I think that may have only been on the Series X,
Yeah. Now I want to
which could be why they did this.
briefly mention this, but we can talk about it later in the Ubisoft stuff because
Mm.
there's more gameplay footage. But they did announce the Star Wars Outlaws. They showed it first at the Xbox showcase, like a trailer, but then they showed 10 minutes of gameplay in the Ubisoft
Yeah.
presentation. So we'll talk about that at the Ubisoft part. All right, let's talk. Well, actually, no. Let's briefly talk about a couple other games before we get into Starfield.
Starfield. Yeah.
South of Midnight,
Uh,
Compulsion Games. Did you see that trailer?
no.
That was the
Yeah, I
one
missed
with
that one.
it was kind of like it's the We Happy Few developer. Um,
Oh, this looks great actually.
yeah, it was all
Looks very dark.
cinematics. There was no
Yeah.
gameplay, so it had that kind of stop motion look to it. It's kind of got this kind of animated
I
stop
like the
motion
character
artist.
designs. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's going to be 2024 as well because there's no
Mm.
gameplay. They just announced it. The big thing.
Game Pass as well. It's going to be a Game Pass game.
In Exile's Clockwork Revolution, which a lot of people are comparing to
Mm.
BioShock. Looks pretty good. I mean,
It
obviously,
does.
it's just a steampunk, vibe that it has.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also the gameplay is kind of. It just looks like a better overhaul of BioShock Infinite's gameplay. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely, but it also like there's got to be an element of I guess time travel,
Hmm.
or like there looked like there was like a moment where like you're controlling time at least. Like yeah, oh yeah, there's hints of time manipulation mechanics and stuff. So that's interesting. I'm wondering how like time is going to play out. That's already a huge thing to like throw into it. Like BioShock with time travel, that sounds tight. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or with time control, and it looks beautiful. It looks pretty, you know.
Yeah. So, and this is, it's gonna be on Game Pass, so you don't have to worry about like getting burned if it's not great. It looks good. Real quick, Forza Motorsport, which apparently is gonna be like a reboot, and that is coming this
Oh,
year in
that's end of
October.
this year, yeah.
Yeah. So that
October-ish, yeah.
is.
Forza Motorsport is like it's the more serious one compared to Horizon.
Yeah. See, I'm like I said, I'm not a car game fan in general, but I am definitely more of the Horizon, drive around a whole area and explore versus kind of the track type racing, that
Yeah.
Motorsport is. I mean, it looks I mean, the graphics are great. Yeah, I'm sure if you're really into like cars and car racing, it's probably pretty cool. Just probably not for me. I may try it out just based on the fact that I had such a good time with Horizon, just to give it a try. But I do
Mm.
know I'm a little, you know,
It is like I said, it's a bit more on the serious side. Horizon
yeah,
was fun.
yes,
Like for motorsport is like a bit more on the serious side. It's very God, what's that? It's a Sony IP, Gran Turismo. It's like very Gran Turismo vibes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Not as accurate though. I will say like something else that caught my eye. I'm just gonna mention it was this Metaphor Re Fantasio, which is a horrible name for this game,
yeah,
but it's from the guys who made Persona. But
yeah,
it's a whole new game, new world. Because just like Persona, Persona's like Final Fantasy. Like every game is different, but they do use a lot of the same kind of tropes and like character things. You know what I mean? A lot of things carry over. So they're working on a whole new world which it looks pretty good. It's the same gameplay though. It's still turn-based mechanics, exact same game, just different world. It looks pretty nice though, actually, I will say. So that caught my eye, but that's only coming out next year.
yeah. Speaking of Persona, they also did a Persona 3 Reload officially revealed,
Mm,
and also Persona 5
yeah.
Tactica also
I've heard
revealed.
great things about Persona 3 because I think they did release it on Nintendo Switch like a couple months ago. But I think this reload is like a texture update or an HD update or upscaling of the resolution. I'm not too sure. I still need to play it though. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, real
Uh,
quick, there was a Payday 3 gameplay trailer that's
mm.
coming both to I think Xbox and PlayStation as well.
That
Uh,
that IP is a bit dead. I hope like
yeah,
I actually you know what I usually I'd be like, "Oh, I hope it does well," but I just have zero interest or
yeah,
care. It's a fun game. It's a fun multiplayer game where you do heists and stuff. But then they did started the heists on GTA got more popular kind of stuff.
yeah,
But it's a good heist game. It's like a good like bank robbing kind of game thing with you and your friends,
yeah.
you know.
CFD is getting a Monkey Island crossover, and
Yeah,
that's
I
coming on
saw that.
July
That's
20th.
cool.
So it's fairly soon. That was a big surprise. Uh,
Yeah. That was quite cool. This what's it? Yeah, so this was a very small indie thing, but the Spiritfarer studio announced a new co-op action game, and I love the game Spiritfarer.
mhm.
I think it's on Game Pass still. It's a beautiful little indie game. It's like Animal Crossing, but it's like you're kind of helping these spirits pass over into the afterlife. It's such a sweet, beautiful game. But I wasn't expecting a co-op action game from them.
Yeah, it's called 33 Immortals, and
Yeah.
it kind of
It's very different. It's very different from what they've done before. It looks interesting. Like there's so many people running around.
well, doesn't it look like it's kind of like
Uh,
Hades, like but
It
like
looks like it could be a
co-op?
roguelite,
Yeah,
but co-op, yeah.
looks like
A
Hades,
co-
but like co-op version.
yeah. It looks good. It's just so different from the previous game they made. Like
Yeah,
it's like going from Animal Crossing to Hades. That's basically what they did. It's a
yeah,
hell of a turn.
yeah. Real quick, Microsoft Flight Simulator. They showed a 2024
New updates,
new
yeah. They added
updates.
the Dune. Yeah, they added
Yeah,
the Dune thing.
the
That's tight,
Duning
yeah. They also had that
content
Top Gun Maverick thing a while back
last
too.
year.
That was tight.
Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is coming out. They
Mm,
showed a trailer. It was purely in-game cinematics. And it's purely performance, not action-oriented. Since I didn't
yeah.
play the first game, I kind of didn't know what she was talking about. You know what I mean? Because apparently it was
There was
is very
the first
involved with
game,
the
yeah.
story. I heard it's
The
great.
first game was it is a fantastic game. The first game was more well known for its like this Senua's Saga is more well known for its graphics and acting and story.
Hmm.
Like I don't ever hear people talking about the gameplay, but people rave about how beautiful the game looks and how like because of the way that they capture the actor's face, it's so intimate and real.
Hmm.
Like the character feels alive, which is really cool. So I've been like it's been on my list for a long time now.
All right. So yeah. I mean, there's some other stuff. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth was revealed. Fallout 76 had
Oh
an
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Atlantic.
so stoked for that, dude. I'm so stoked for that because it's a sequel to Like a Dragon, which
Uh-huh.
I loved. It's probably my most favorite Yakuza character ever,
Mm.
Ichiban, and he just literally like wakes up on the shore of Hawaii fully
Naked.
nude.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he's just naked in Hawaii. So like I can't wait to play this game, man.
Right.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. There's some other stuff, but let's get to the big stuff. So
Mm.
Starfield, They had a
Yeah.
whole 45-minute like deep dive presentation video, and like I said, the pressure is on. The pressure's on Microsoft. The pressure's on Xbox. The pressure's on Bethesda. The pressure's on Todd Howard to deliver. And look, the game hasn't come out yet, so we don't know if it's good. But to me, this presentation delivered beyond what I was expecting, because I thought, okay, this game is going to be like, Fallout or Skyrim, but in space. But it seems like they've gone even more in detail and more in depth with what you can kind of do in this game.
There is a lot of parallels to No Man's Sky, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But they're two different. Like I said, I've heard people complaining about it, saying it's like a No Man's Sky ripoff. But you can't compare a survival game with an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, Starfield it's smaller than No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky's got like 1 billion planets or something. It's insane. This is it's a much more curated experience. Even though there's going to be a bunch of other planets out there, most of them are going to be empty and like you're just going to go there for resources, most likely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then we saw those epic cities, so it's like I love No Man's Sky. If No Man's Sky had plot, like good plot, and I might get killed for saying that, but like I love the game. I play No Man's Sky a lot, but like I don't play it for the plot. I play it for grinding and getting better stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it has a lot of those elements. Like ship customization just came to No Man's Sky. You got ship customization in this, but like you said, it's very different because your ship customization matters. It's not just cosmetic.
Yeah, Which I originally thought that it was going to be just a cosmetic thing, but no.
Same.
No,
I mean, actually, to be honest, I thought we just wouldn't have customization. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, I thought that we would, but I thought it was going to be like, okay, you can paint this color and whatever. You can make these jet engines look cooler with these things.
I figured you just get better ships, or like as you go on, or buy.
But
it's like ships
it's like almost fully module. Like you can be like, all right, I'm going to move this here and there, and I'm going to put this here.
It's like, for those listening or watching, if anybody's played Kerbal Space Program, it's actually a lot like that. Like the way you build those rockets is the same way you build your ship. It's really cool, or very similar kind of thing. It's like I like it because it reminds me of like the ship customization reminds me of a lot of like, how do I explain it, like building games, like Trail Makers or Scrap Mechanic games where you build like vehicles inside the game. It reminds me of those. So that was a pleasant surprise. The game looks beautiful.
The game looks gorgeous. That's why it's like kind of
the city looked amazing.
That's why I was saying, like with Avowed, it's like you look at this is running on the same hardware. It's like this looks next gen. I actually, to be honest, I've never seen Bethesda make a game look. I mean, usually when you're playing Fallout 3 or 4 or whatever,
you're playing it for the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never been a high mark because they use the old ass engine.
Dude, that's there. Yeah, what's it called again? I forget what the engine's called, but you're right. The engine is not built for. Dude, I tell this story almost every time, but it's so funny. I think it's Fallout 3. The trains, because of how their engine works, there's no vehicles, so the trains were actually NPCs. If you take the trains out, like the assets, you'll see feet underneath the trains. So it's actually disturbing to think you're just inside of a giant NPC when you're riding that train. But they had to like make it work that way, and it's essentially make like the train an NPC, which is hilarious.
So they finally
they haven't been known for
They finally updated the engine. Yeah, they finally updated that engine, so it looks.
They're known for
better.
their RPG. They're known more for their RPG mechanics. They're some of the best. The only game I've ever played that has had RPG mechanics as deep as Bethesda's games is The Witcher 3. It's great. So.
Yeah, and then also, speaking of the ship, you can have your own kind of crew in there, and they have like different jobs and stuff. Like, okay, you do this, you work on this. This is your kind of role in our team, and then you can get more companions. Right? It's got this kind of Mass Effect feel. It's funny because when the game first was announced, I thought, oh, okay, we're gonna get kind of Fallout in space, right? It's gonna, what kind of Outer Worlds was. Outer Worlds was much more like kind of like Fallout in space, which was from Obsidian, obviously taken from their Fallout New Vegas experience. But no, this is much more Mass Effect than it is Fallout. It's much more serious. I
think this is what Mass Effect wish it could have been.
And then. Not only can you kind of customize your ship and the different areas and how they function, you can make outposts at different like if you go to a planet, you can make an outpost there, and they can kind of pump the resources for you while you're away, and you also can hire people to work at those outposts to like
You can
do certain
you can
jobs.
see how they've taken like when I watch this, I've actually seen how they've taken everything that they've learned up until this point as a company, all the gameplay mechanics they've messed around with, like Fallout 4. That's when they first started messing out with like the idea of building little bases and stuff. You know what I mean? Then Fallout 76, and they kept building on all of these things, and it's like it all came together into Starfield here. You know what I mean? A lot of those mechanics, and that's really tight to see. Like the companions, like Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they really nailed the companion system. Here's the companion system nailed. Base building. They got it okay in Fallout 4, kind of pretty much nailed it in 76. You know what I mean? So it's nice seeing it all coming together. And like I've never been disappointed by Bethesda's companions. You know?
Yeah.
Like even Lydia from
Skyrim.
Yeah.
What I don't know, maybe they've improved 76, but I remember in the beginning
There's new content coming to 76 as well. I think they announced in the showcases. There was also a 76 announcement.
But I like that the base building in Starfield, you can do a top-down view, because that was kind of one of the things I didn't like. Was like, it's cool like decorating your interior from the first-person view, right? Because it's like
it's so difficult to build that. Like I hate like that's what I don't like about games like. Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's just it's a hindrance to build in first person. It's just like a bitch. You know, you can't really see it the best. Like in games like Subnautica or blanking on the other one I was going to say now, but it's difficult to build that. And then you like look at it from like a different angle, and you're like, wow, that sucks. You know, and it's just easier. I've liked the ship customization, the base building, things like that. Like it's very polished. It looks like whenever you like they show off that kind of stuff, it looks very much like that was the game. You know what I mean? Like that could have been a separate game. Is your like little base building management kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. And then in another area that also I was really excited about was this, not just the space combat, because obviously you go into space and have dogfights, but the fact that you can board other people's ships and take them down, and then you take their ship, and then you take their ship, and now you own that ship, and you can put it in any spaceport.
I think the only other game that does that is it Elite? I forgot. No, it's Star Citizen, I think it is. It's that game that's never going to come out. That's like so expensive to get into. Where ships can cost up to like freaking like $20,000 or something. You know what I mean? And like that game looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but you have to have a hell of a system to run it. Like that's kind of like they kind of did a similar thing where it's like they just focused on one solar system, and they just made one really good solar system. But they had the same thing where you could like raid other ships and stuff. It was awesome. So I hated that about No Man's Sky, is that you couldn't really get out of your ship in space, or like you could only fly in space. You couldn't do anything else in space. That was it, you know, and some dogfights. So that's really cool. Like this game is way more than I was expecting it to be.
Me too.
You know?
Like I thought,
I knew it was
I thought like, space, you do little space battles and you fly here and there and that's it. But it's like every part of the game, right? Whether it's the exploration, it's the space combat, it's the resource management, it's the base building, it's the ship customization. They're going deep in every single category versus just like a little bit here, a little bit there.
And it's a lot. And what's nice is that usually this would be too much for a game, but because it's set in such a vast, like you're in space, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be feeling. I can tell people are gonna play this game for a long time. You know what I mean? Finding new little secrets and things like that. I'm sure there's like probably thousands of Easter eggs on all those planets out there. It looks beautiful. Like the graphics like really blew me away. It's just so much more than I thought. Because I'm not gonna lie, I just like because we haven't seen much like gameplay since then. I just kind of thought literally space RPG.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking space Fallout. I was thinking more space Skyrim kind of vibes, or space Elder Scroll vibes, like that kind of RPG mechanics. And it's like they've gone on to so many other game mechanics, and it looks good. Yeah. You know, like it looks good. Like they did a good job with it, which is rare.
Yeah, they're definitely going beyond what we're used to from Bethesda. You also can play third person and first person. Like we're used to just first person only.
Well, no, Skyrim was I don't know, Fallout 4 and Skyrim was you could switch.
Yeah, but you could switch, but it didn't work. Like this looks like it actually works. You know what I mean? Like,
Skyrim. I hate playing Skyrim in third person. It's or even Fallout. Yeah, like those games just do work better in first person, man. But this looks tight for sure. Uh, oh man, stoked. End of
Yeah.
the year. The thing. So Todd Howard's been hyping up this game for years,
Yeah.
and you know what? He did not shoot himself in the foot. This does
Yeah.
look really good. This is a lot more than I was expecting it to be. I'm excited to play it.
The combat looks good too. I mean, they didn't show a
Mm.
ton of combat. Like I was
That's
talking about,
that's
but there was hand
that
to
is my
hand
biggest
combat.
worry.
There is hand
Yeah,
to hand combat. There is a bunch of different weapons.
the shooting is my biggest worry
Hmm.
because they're not well known for their shooting mechanics, which is why you use VATS and stuff. You know what I mean in the Fallout series. That is my biggest worry is the combat like
Hmm.
mechanics. But at the end of the day, all the other mechanics I saw look so well fleshed out. I don't think I'd care too much. You know what I mean? Especially if it's an RPG.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it's, I mean, also Fallout Skyrim's combat has never been like top notch. You know what I mean? There's just been like,
Yeah.
okay, it helps serve the grind, right? It's like it's all
Mm.
about like improving your weapons and your armor and your character stats. Now, if you can combine that with actually fun, I'm not saying like the Fallout and Skyrim combat wasn't like fun, but it was kind of rudimentary, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not
True.
like
It was more
in
about
depth.
loot as well
Yeah.
and grinding. You're right.
Yeah.
You know.
Where
Yeah.
now, if you can take that, because there is some kind of gameplay mechanics with the jetpack aspect of zero G. Do you see like zero G when you fire a gun
Yeah.
in zero G, you go backwards because of the gravity?
That looked so cool. Yeah. Like that. Dude, this game's so much more than I was expecting. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
I will say we got to move on a little quicker here.
All right.
'Cause-
Yeah. Side
Yeah.
note, as we just ending, they are making like this whatever the special edition version that has like this watch that's from the game and it has a cool case. They're doing a controller and a headset as well, a customized version of that look really cool. Very interested. But
Oh, yeah, then
it's
there was-
$300 though. It is $300 though. So
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd see us. Yeah. So it was Fallout 76 announced the Atlantic City expansion. That was it.
yeah.
Um.
All right.
And then there's things we didn't talk about here, but they're not really worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Except for me, I like City Skylines too. I'm looking forward to that. It's coming to Game Pass, so I'm stoked for that. That's all I can say about that.
All right.
Like, there's actually nothing you can say about City Skylines because they're not going to change the game. They just made it. They just updated the graphics.
Yeah.
Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna love it.
Okay, one last thing then about Starfield. Just a question. Can Starfield save Microsoft/Xbox? Because right now, Microsoft Xbox is kind of in a very precarious
They're
position.
hemorrhaging- yeah,
Not
they're
only that,
hemorrhaging
just
money with Game Pass.
not only that, just in a PR sense, right? With the Activision Blizzard thing, doesn't look like it's going to go through.
yeah.
With the Redfall disaster, they are behind Sony. They don't have, I think remember Halo Infinite came out a year after launch. Forza Horizon came out at the same time. That was a nice two punch combo, but like since then it's been pretty dead, and the Redfall thing did not help. Can Starfield save Xbox?
They're gonna need 2 wins. That's what I think.
Okay.
I think Starfield is gonna get close to saving them, but then they need something early next year to keep that going. That's what I think is that's what they really need. I think Starfield's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna run like shit on the first week it comes out because every game does that. That's just every game nowadays.
Yeah.
We just have to accept it. You know what I mean? Don't pre-order games. Don't buy them day one. Wait a week for them to flesh out. You know what I mean? Or I feel bad for people who paid for Redfall. You know what I mean? Like imagine
Oh
that.
my
That's
God.
yeah, right. Imagine having paid for that
Yeah.
game. See, I always wait for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do agree with
yeah,
you.
They need
It's gonna-
2 wins. They
yeah,
need 2 wins.
There's definitely
in a
going to
row.
need more than one, but I do think this can kind of save them in the sense of then people will give them
It'll definitely give a lot of the CEO members less stress on their backs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll like alleviate some stress and anxiety within the company.
Yeah, if it's a big hit, like I'm thinking it will be, and be well received.
I think it's
by,
going to be as big as Elden Ring or bigger.
Uh-huh.
You know, in terms of like cultural hype and stuff.
Uh,
It could be as good as Skyrim. How many editions of that game has come out? You know what I mean? That game's has been out for like 15 years or more.
mhm.
What 2011 is when it came out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's man, yeah, like that game. Like I'm thinking it might be as big as Skyrim. it might be that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be the game they're going to re-release every 5 years. You know what I mean? Maybe they will. Who knows? But I do think it's going to be as big as that. And if not that, then it will be as big as Elden Ring. You know, because Elden Ring was huge.
Yeah.
But it is has like hype has died out obviously, unless they come up with a big expansion, which I don't think they plan to do. They're doing Armored Core, which looks great. And then I think after that, they might do a Bloodborne game or they might do a Dark Souls game. But if I recall, Bandai Namco, who is their owner, their parent company, I think they want them to do an anime game or a game of, because Bandai and Namco also owns a lot of anime IP.
Yeah.
So I think they want to like get the two together kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Real quick, Summer Games Fest showcase. That was actually before the Xbox showcase. Alan Wake 2, which was shown already at the PlayStation showcase. They showed more gameplay footage. They kind of do that like when it's a game that's like not a first-party game. They'll show like kind of the reveal trailer or whatever, the kind of story trailer or something at like one of the like the Sony or Xbox stuff, and then they'll show gameplay footage later. They showed like a few minutes of that, and it looked pretty good. I liked the way it looked. Obviously, I'm a big Alan Wake fan, and I like that there's kind of splitting it up into two different playable characters. They did say it's going to be more survival horror than action, because the first game is kind of more action oriented, so it seems like they're going to go more survivor horror route. Also, Mortal Kombat 1 was kind of showcased as well. Lies of P, and also the Prince of Persia, which was kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that to come
I'm
out.
not gonna lie, it's like not the worst timing, but not the best timing, because League of Legends just brought out that game that is pretty much exactly the same. That the game about Echo. It's very similar, because they're calling that essentially. They're both basically Metroidvania games,
Yes.
essentially. You know what I mean? They're both Metroidvanias. But I guess this game's going to come out a little bit longer. I like the graphic style. It also reminds me of the original Prince of Persia. If you ever played the original Prince of Persia game.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It gives me that vibes as well. They're going back to that 2D style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looks more combat focused than puzzle focused. But yeah, we'll see. That looked kind of good.
Yeah. All right. Ubisoft, they had their Ubisoft Forward. The thing that main big thing that got revealed, we knew about the game. I actually didn't know it was going to be this far along, which is Star Wars Outlaws. Remember they announced that Ubisoft was working on a open world Star Wars game. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll see something next year. No, they showed well, and the Xbox showcase, they showed the reveal trailer, but then at their own showcase, they showed 10 minutes of like actual gameplay, and it looks good. I'm very excited about this. I just didn't know it was so far along that they could show off actual
That
gameplay
much.
footage. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest. At first, I was a bit disappointed because I wasn't, not because of what I saw, but because it wasn't the premise that I was expecting. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the setup I was expecting for the most part. But then the more I like watched it, I was like, I want to be Han Solo. I want to be female Han Solo. This looks badass.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, I guess if you had a lightsaber, you would be kind of overpowered, and they already have Jedi Fallen Order. You know what I mean? I mean Jedi Survivor now.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm gonna get that soon. There's a Epic Games sale going on. Not that the game's on sale, but I got a coupon for 15% off, so I'm gonna use that.
Nice.
On Jedi Survivor, yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to. I just finished Fallen Order again recently. I think I told you I was playing it recently. I just finished it. Yeah, so I'm like right there, like ready for the next game, ready for the next information.
Yeah, so this looks really good. It's funny because like the three of well, this one's not coming out this year, but two of the games that I'm most looking forward to playing is obviously Starfield. Now, I mean Starfield, the watching that 45-minute presentation took my like expectations and my anticipation from like here to like up here, and then also obviously Alan Wake 2, because one, I love the first one, and I just never thought we'd get a second one, and the second one looks great, and the third one was this game, the Star Wars Outlaws. Like I've been waiting for an open world Star Wars game, and this looks like it's gonna be like, looks like a lot of work was put into it.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be good. That's for sure.
Yeah. All all right. What else came out at the Ubisoft? Oh,
This
obviously,
it's unfortunate. There's actually so much stuff I want to cover, but we
yeah,
just can't. Like a lot of
yeah,
DLC things got released and stuff like that. A lot of indie stuff, but we just unfortunately don't have time to get to that.
yeah. The Assassin's Creed Mirage stuff. They kind
There's
of they're
Avatar.
yeah. The Avatar stuff looked great to me. I
It did
actually very
actually,
looking
yeah.
forward to that. My only issue is I mentioned this many times before, but I do think it was a mistake to go first person instead of third person. I
Yeah,
know
no.
I know why they did it because the whole Avatar thing is about being
Being in the Avatar,
yes.
yeah.
But when I look at the environment, I'm like, look at the shots of when the main character, when the Navi is riding on top of the dragon and flying.
Yeah, it
That's
looks so much better, yeah.
yeah,
Because that's going to be third person. Like most games, like it'll be like Cyberpunk. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like when you're in the car, it gives you the choice to go third person because it'll be easier. You can't like doing anything like flying or driving is going to be too hard in first person. You know what I mean? You won't be able to see behind you and stuff like that. I also think it's a bit of a bummer because it would have been so much cooler. But part of me is excited that it's in first person because you're huge and the
hmm
humans are so tiny and the perspective is hilarious, Dennis. It's like seeing full-grown adults, but the size of children. It's
yeah,
hilarious because the Navi are huge. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So the perspective is funny to me. That's kind of cool.
So what I heard is it's supposed to be kind of very Far Cry-ish.
Mm. Yeah. To actually, you know what? That does make sense. Because I will say, like the game, it looks pretty, but for me, what it's going to come down to is those game mechanics. You know what I mean?
hmm Yeah, I'm looking at these
Yeah.
like cutscenes with where it does show third person perspective. It's like
It's so much better,
that's
right?
how the game should be, not the
Yeah.
first person. I know why they did it, but no, it should have been third person. Anyways, looks
And
good.
here's the thing: they could probably release a third-person version later. Because if you think about it, Cyberpunk couldn't do that because there was no third-person model for them
hmm
for the most part, or like people made like a first-person mod and then, oh sorry, a third-person mod. I keep
hmm
saying for a third-person mod, and the characters just looked all fucked up.
Yeah,
But with this, like because the character models do like because you can go third-person while they're riding things, like they should surely be able to add a third-person mode. I'm sure people will complain.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I complain about Cyberpunk, but then again, I got into Cyberpunk, so maybe I'll get into this as well. Maybe I'll get into the first person.
Yeah, me too. I'm just saying
Yeah.
from what I expected or what I think should be good. I mean, I'll know when I get that, when I actually play it. But I think I will get that game. Assassin's Creed Mirage kind of throwback, not throwback, but kind of like going back to
Going
the
more to
old,
stealth,
yeah,
way
the
more
old school.
stealthy.
Because the last two games were, the historical games that were like not.
Oh yeah, you're a Viking. You're not stealthy.
Yeah,
Vikings aren't stealthy.
yeah, there's no parkour. It's not stealth.
Yeah,
It's more combat oriented. Same with Odyssey. So this is kind of a throwback to the original style of
the
Assassin's
original.
Creed.
Yeah.
They also
I
showed
don't.
off.
I kind of liked where they went with their past three games when they kind of like
hmm
not rebooted but reset the storyline, if you will,
hmm
or like the Desmond storyline doesn't matter anymore kind of thing. Yeah, it was I forgot what it was, but the game before Odyssey, I forgot what that was. But yeah, the Egypt one, and then there was the
Yeah.
Roman one, and then the Viking one. I kind of like those series, but I
So
guess it
did
is
I.
time for them to It's been another trilogy. It's been a whole. That's two trilogies later, so it's time for them to have a third trilogy, I guess. You know?
Yeah. They also showed the VR, the Assassin's Creed Nexus VR
Oh yeah.
as well. Nothing much else, I guess.
There was that mobile game as
Yeah.
well, but doesn't the mobile games don't matter?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Capcom.
couple other things too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Go
like I
ahead.
said, small things. The Skull and Bones closed beta is coming in August, but I don't believe that.
hmm
I don't believe that. Isn't this like the game that's been delayed the most, like in the most recent years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Clancy Division Resurgence. Yeah, I think we covered pretty much most of the big stuff here.
Yeah.
Um,
Capcom
the,
had
yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is that's probably the biggest announcement they had. It's been a long time since Dragon's Dogma 1. It's the gameplay mechanics are quite interesting because it's like kind of it's you played oh, I'm blanking on it now. Shadow of the Colossus, right? Or you've at least seen it.
I've seen it.
So yeah, so it's similar in that regard. You're not fighting colossal titans, but it's things like you're gonna have to mount a griffin and like hold on to him and things like it's almost got like a bit of Monster Hunter elements into it as well. But you're like a party of 4 people. It's a good game. The gameplay mechanics are really good. I could never get into the story though. But yeah, so that's kind of tight to be honest. Then Pragmata got delayed indefinitely, which sucks because it looks beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been 2 years ago since we saw that. Apollo Justice Ace Trilogy is coming 2024. That's just for me. I like those games. Oh yeah, Exoprimal. I figured there's no point to talk about Exoprimal because I think it's coming to Game Pass in. Okay, no, it's only coming out in like 2 months in Game Pass, but it's going to be on Game Pass. I'm excited for Exoprimal. That does look quite fun as well.
Yeah.
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 All right, let's.
Capcom's showcase. They didn't have much there.
Unfortunate because they just did Street Fighter. Like, you know what I mean? They're Street Fighter would have been big to announce here, but the game already came out.
Yeah, people were complaining that like, why even have a showcase? They should have just announced everything, during like Summer Game Fest or something like that. So
exactly, because Dragon's Dogma was really the only thing worth announcing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess Mega Man as well.
But
for the diehard fans.
Yeah, Pragmata got delayed indefinitely. Like, yeah, there wasn't too much. All right. There was an Upload VR showcase to show off VR games, but that just happened, I think, today. And I didn't get a chance to see it. It's like about an hour and a half of VR games, so we'll talk about that next time. I guess the last piece of news that we should talk about that was
big news
because it kind of came out of the blue, which was Embracer is closing studios, canceling games, laying off staff after the $2 billion deal fell through. Remember they were going to buy all of Square Enix's Western IP.
Didn't they already do that?
Well, apparently not, because it says that.
Well, I remember it not being a $2 billion deal. I remember them paying way less.
I think,
initially,
Yeah, or maybe the $2 billion deal was something else
could have
that they were
been
supposed to
something
get.
else because Embracer was acquiring way too quickly. They were acquiring groups and companies way too quickly, and this is something you see often when like big parent companies, when they want to expand, they expand way too quickly. You know what I mean? And they take on more than they can chew. Like I guess I was worried. Like I'm not worried, but I'm wondering what's going to happen to all the IP. Like, does it go back to Square Enix? Does it just die out?
Don't
like what happens to Lara Croft? You know what I mean? What happens to the Tomb Raider?
It's weird because they do have a lot of properties under their umbrella.
A lot, dude. Yeah.
Dead Island.
What?
2?
No.
What?
That means no Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. Wait, but no, because Payday 3 got announced, and they're doing. Okay, so no, these are the games that are coming out in the next year. Sorry, my bad. So there are still some games that they are doing, like Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which I'm so excited about. Payday 3, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Arizona Sunshine 2. That's a VR game. Didn't know there's a sequel coming out.
Yeah.
Do you ever play Arizona Sunshine? It's
a little bit, yeah.
You just stand still, zombies come to you.
Yeah, they had not a sequel, but like the same company made a game called After the Fall, which was zombie game too, but it was
I played that a bit. You played it as well, yeah.
Yeah. It's in the snow instead of the desert. But yeah, they're coming back to Arizona Sunshine, so it's going to be on like PSVR 2. It's going to be on MetaQuest as well. So yeah, there's a lot of.
Dude, like this is weird with the Tomb Raider thing because it says here Amazon Games signed a deal with Embracer, who owns Crystal Dynamics, to support them with the development of the next big Tomb Raider game. So I'm like, what's going to happen with that now? Is Amazon still involved with that, or they still, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I guess Dead Island 2 didn't get the best release ever either. I know a lot of people that had a good time with it. It's just a lot of people were expecting them to like change the game or add way more mechanics because it's been a long time. But it's like, then again, there's a lot of people who didn't want them to do that. Me being one of them. Like, I just want to play Dead Island, but more Dead Island.
Yeah.
And sit in LA. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah. The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is like all
I just saw that
with
as well. No,
yeah,
Dennis, that's gonna hit
yeah,
me and you pretty hard, man.
yeah.
I was so looking forward to that.
Well, hopefully someone else, because I don't think they actually own that IP. I
What's
think they were just
I don't. It's
hired to
Aspire,
do it.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So I do think like a lot of these studios, like I'm sure they're still gonna exist. They can't like be completely fucking liquidated or something. Like you know what I mean? At least I don't think so. You know, like Crystal Dynamics can't just disappear. Like
Yeah.
they're big. You know what I mean? I guess they're like yeah. Surely like they're probably gonna end like something is gonna happen to these IP. Like if the
Hmm.
deal doesn't go through, either it's gonna be sold off cheaply to the next person, or it's all gonna go back to Square Enix. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, they
Because if
went on
Square Enix sold it off that
this.
cheap in the first place, they don't want it. So if they get it back, they're just gonna sell it off for cheap again. You know?
Yeah, they went on this spree of just buying all these game
Oh, it was the
studios.
$2 billion was a new thing. The $2 billion deal was a. They won't talk about what it is. That's so dumb of them, though. They said
Hmm.
they had a verbal agreement. Are you a rookie? Where the what? A verbal agreement's not gonna hold up in court, buddy. You know? Unless you got witnesses and it was filmed and it like depends where you are. But yeah, so they did this $2 billion deal is more than $2 billion in contracted development revenue over a period of 6 years. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting, yeah. But yeah, it fell through last minute unexpectedly, so that sucks for them. But also, dude, how can you bank on a verbal agreement? That's so dumb, like a verbal commitment, you know? I tell
Yeah.
people things all the time and then I don't do them, you know? Why would you think that's any different in business? Um, that seems like that's 100% on them, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Like this is their own fault by the looks of things.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all that I have. Uh,
Yeah,
we talked a lot
there's a
about all the
bunch of
showcases
yeah.
and whatever. Any other little bits of news?
No, not for them. I mean, there is, but I gotta get going. I was gonna say, if there was something that we didn't get to talk about that you guys are interested in, please bring it up in the comment section below, or talk to us about it in our Discord channel. We're more than happy to talk about it. There's a lot of indie games announced that I'm looking forward to. We just don't really have the time to talk about it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely let us know in the comment section what in the past couple days has stood out to you the most. It's probably Starfield. And yeah, don't forget to join our Discord server as well. I'm more than happy to talk about all this stuff.
Okay, cool. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Revog. Subscribe to our podcast feed, which is on, I guess it's called Spotify for
Spotify now,
podcasters.
yeah.
Yeah, Spotify for podcasters for this weekly podcast. You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzng. And Josh, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at It's Thespis, all lowercase. There should be a link in the description below. Once I get to more followers, I'll start streaming actively again. And you guys can find me in the Revog Discord channel, like I said just now. More than happy to talk with you guys or even play some games sometime if you want.
All right, cool. Until next time, see you guys later.
Later.